know the difference between internal and external shame? Shame is one of the most painful emotions that I can even think about. And I know it has two components, external and internal. Now, external shame for me developed from the experience of judgment from others. And internal shame came in the form of how I internalized the judgments of others and evaluated who I was based on someone else's assessment. So, for a brief moment, let's you and I return to a past memory, as safely though. Let's think back to an experience where you may have felt external shame or the judgment of another. Just think back. So, now that you had that memory, now that you feel connected to the memory, just know that you don't have to be in that memory. I'm not trying to trigger you or to bring up something for you that might be really uncomfortable, but for this particular understanding of external or internal shame, it would be really helpful to have a memory that you can access. And it doesn't have to be, one of the root big, huge Mac Daddy memories. It can just be something that you recall where you experienced an external judgment from someone else. So at this moment, maybe write it down. Maybe write it down, give yourself some space to think about it. Maybe you need to bookmark it, because what I really want to do is help you reframe this experience. For me, and for many of us, one encounter with external shame is so potent that it almost immediately evolves into a narrative, perhaps a cycling narrative that over time embeds itself very, very deeply into how you and I relate with ourselves and with other people. This embedding is a way of protecting. It's a way of keeping you safe so that you will not have to be in that situation ever again. You don't want to find yourself in that situation, because that situation was so shameful. That external judgment was so profound for you that you don't ever want to go back there again. So your guard is up, everything is activated, and keeping you protected. So with this memory, here we go. In my experience, I took this external shame that we're talking about and the judgment and all the inflow of other people's energy and their emotions and those who were part of the experience and those were the bystanders. And I internalized it so hard, saying to myself, it must have been me. It must be my fault. I can't be this lovable if all these people are joining in. I must be disgusting and despicable if no one will rise to protect me. If no one will come to my defense, then I must be what this person or these people are saying I am. Maybe you can relate to this. It is taking something that isn't yours and turning it into something that's almost too heavy to carry. And I think this is an important point, just to kind of sit for a minute and think, okay, so this wasn't yours. This shame, the internal shame that you are experiencing right now about this particular experience, it actually isn't yours. It came from someone else, came from some other place, and other people deciding that this was a judgment that seemed fitting and right for the moment. In one of my upcoming shows with Eileen Lashinsky, she's a fabulous guest of mine, and I was talking to her about shame, and I was saying something like, no surprise there that I was saying whatever I was saying, because I'm really excited about this topic, and I really want to convey the message of shame and resilience inside of shame, that we can all find. And in this conversation, she reminded me very gently. She said, listen, you did nothing to receive external shame, you know. I was like, what? Because the narrative for me is, I am so unlovable. No one will like me. No one pays attention to me. I'm not worthy. I don't belong in this particular space. That's the narrative. That's the internal shame, the internal dialogue. But the external created that internal dialogue. So I did nothing to receive. I did nothing to receive that external shame. She said, Laura, you did nothing wrong to be shamed. It was someone else's shame that was put onto you. Put on to you. And so I say to you who are watching and listening, this shame that you have that's running circles inside of you, that is suffocating you and pulling you down and asking you to be really small and quiet so that you don't make any big noises, that shame came from an external source and it was put onto you. This memory that you brought forward, it was, the ask that I had was, bring a memory forward that was external shame. So for me, it's bullying, it's a whole bunch of things. But let's go with bullying for today. That was not something that I created. It wasn't. It was something that someone decided, and then they took action with it. They put their shame onto me. And so this external experience occurred in a group. Maybe it was just private, but it occurred. And then I took that and I believed that I was the problem. I perceived that people thought that I was nothing, unworthy, and stupid. And therefore, I brought that message, that external message into my sanctuary, my body, my mind, my emotions, my soul. And I internalized that external message. I even changed the words because they said to me, you are stupid. You are dumb. And I changed the words to, I am stupid. I am done. I'm dumb. I am nothing. So as you bring this memory to mind, be aware of the language that was used in this moment. Now, it could be language, it could be nonverbal as well. But here's what I want you to know, that it had nothing to do with you and everything to do with him, her, they, or them. And I'm telling you, tearing myself away from this narrative has been the most challenging thing I have done in my entire life. So how do we take a memory like the one that you're thinking about or the one that you've written down and deal with it when it comes to the surface? Because every external shame experience that I have ever had has always come up as a cycling thought. It just always has. So how do you rise above the heaviness of shame to change the narrative? Well, firstly, I want to offer this to you. You do not have to apologize. Not 1 second for being who you are. You don't have to apologize 1 second. You may not believe me right now because shame is a very, very low vibration. And if you're living in it and if you believe that you are alone and isolated and that you are unworthy, I know that feeling. I know that. And I also know that it's really hard to hear someone say something like, you are important, you are special, you are valuable, you are loved, you are a gift. But at some point, you actually knew that about yourself. Before the world told you who you were, before external shame came on the scene, you knew that you were adventurous, free, funny, um, excitable, that you loved people, that you wanted to be X and Y and Z, and you thought you could do anything in the world. You were creative, you were an artist, all kinds of things. But something happened externally, outside of you and out of your control. Someone else came on the scene and informed you differently. And they did it in a way that created a path that said, you are not enough. You don't belong here and you're not enough. And I want to speak to that because I've lived for 46 years like this. And I want to say, you are a gift of life. And there is never a reason that a person should ever apologize for who they are. Shame is one of the lowest vibrations, like I said. It's like living in hell. If you have shame, financial shame, relational shame, academic shame, business shame, home life shame, you know the hell I'm talking about. You never are leaving it. You're not going to leave it. It's so low that there's nowhere else to go. For some, death is the next step. That's how bad shame is. It's messy. It's heavy. It's humiliating. The heaviness and the continual suffering is because of that constant narrative that says whatever you experienced, you are the problem. And I want to take the very words that were spoken over you. You are. I want to take the judgment, whatever that situation might be. There's going to be a continuum here for you as listeners and viewers. It's going to be like from, I don't even want to begin to say what the continuum is, but it's going to be very, very different for everybody because shame comes not in one way. It comes through a multitude of ways. Shame, external shame, has reshaped the beauty of your soul and dimmed the light of who you are. So why am I doing this? Well, because of some of the experiences I've had in my life, from bullying, insane bullying, sexual assault, and an unstable family life, it was easy for me to buy in to this shame talk. It was easy for people to say to me, Lori, you are stupid. You are dumb. You're never going to be anything. You're never going to be what you want to be in your life. You are too much. How about you just bring yourself down a little bit? Lori, you are always disrespectful. Lori, you are, I could just go on and on. You can also fill in the blanks. But I found it very easy to buy in because my home life told me some inconsistent messages. It gave me very uncertain and unpredictable messages about who I was and my sense of safety in my world. And so then when people came to me and tried it on for size at a young age and started shaming me and judging me and bullying me, I was an easy target because I actually believed it about myself. So I went through this belief for over 2 decades that I took the external message and made it internal suffering. I internalized shame to the point that it stopped me from living a life of inner freedom. And so it didn't stop though. While I lived a life of inner freedom, it didn't stop this interesting thing that I did, and I didn't really know I did it, but I kept the shame really secret and really private. And outwardly, I was charismatic. I am charismatic. I was dynamic. I was friendly. I was all of these things. But no one knew. No one knew that I had shame. I mean, how could I ever let people see that the disgusting mess was inside of me? I would never and could never, because I was not ever going to put myself back in that situation where someone was going to put me out as judged. Someone was going to judge me or create an experience where I was going to be exposed. Oh my goodness. So why would I ever share the shame? Now I could identify with people, but I never let them in that it was a shameful piece of me that I actually believed. So I lived a very, I would say, uh, not an aligned life. I just didn't want harm to come to me. I just didn't. I couldn't bear it. So how can you, if this is resonating for you, how can you begin to move towards resilience in the face, in the face of a lifelong smackdown with shame, with both the external message and the internal message? How can you move towards resilience? Well, one of the things that I've been doing in my life recently is to reframe the story. So there's ways we can do this, and I did bring on a guest to talk about how to reframe it. But this reframe is a very nuanced approach. It speaks to the fact that you are not invisible, even though there is a need for acceptance from you, that you want to be accepted by your friends, by your peers, by your community, by your workplace, by your family. And there might be barriers to that because they've created a story. They've gotten in a pattern of externally shaming you. And you've become the internalization of that shame. Your belief, your life, your actions become internalized by that shame. You are not invisible. And even though you need to be accepted, it makes you feel unseen because there is this way that we all play small. We all believe we are insignificant and we aren't seen. So then we're not seen. And then this is the cycle. So, in the same way this death sentence was spoken over you, in the same way the people said to me, you are not going to be anything that you want to be in your life. You are not smart. You are not intelligent. You are not a good student. You are not, you're insecure. You are all these things, all the you ares. That's like a death sentence. And it was spoken over you and thrown onto you. We, you and me, are going to begin to take this messiness apart. And we are going to take the words that created the catastrophic damage, those words and that experience that began to shape who you were, that you changed who you were because of that message. We're going to slowly and safely, and with some compassion here, begin to reframe a new way, a new story, a new narrative that you can actually say to yourself that is soft and gentle and that can come to you whenever things begin to get out of control. So let's give our emotions some encouragement because I really believe that the only way to connect to shame, the internal shame, the cycling narrative, is to begin to encourage and give our emotions the space to breathe and to feel seen. So it was interesting. Last night, I did not sleep one wink. And this was rolling around in my head. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But I had built up a wall of protection so strong, I did not ever want to be found in that place of external shame ever again. My shame messages were so strong. The external messages were so powerful and so screwed up that I just protected myself and guarded myself, and I didn't let anything in. So last night I was laying there and I felt this. It was so interesting. It was like my soul said to me, "Can you just receive? Can you just receive whatever is here for you in this moment as you lay in the middle of the night in your bed and no one's around in the stillness? Can you just receive whatever's coming for you? If it's love, if it's peace, if it's joy, if it's excitement, if it's grace, if it's dignity, it's coming. Can you open and just let your guard down and receive?" And that's the question I ask you. And so here's how I did it. This is hot off the press. This is just like last night. So I first just took a breath. I just took a breath. And maybe you might need 1 or 2 or 10 breaths just to kind of orient yourself. Maybe you haven't breathed deep before because you're in survival mode and you have to breathe really shallowly. But right now, just breathe. And here's how we can encourage our emotions. We can say something like this: every day I receive information that makes me better. Only feeling good about myself will do for me. I'm choosing to only feel good about myself, and that will do for me. I have a new understanding that energy attracts like energy. What I put out attracts similar energy. And I am open to a new level. And this is why I do not need to stay in shame. I can move forward. Even if it's super, super slow, I can move forward. Every day is a new day that brings me new possibilities. And I am open and receptive to all positive thoughts. I am worthy of all the good that is coming my way. I trust that I'm going to figure this out entirely. I'm not small or flawed, even though they told me I was. I have new information that reminds me I am not their shame. I am no longer their rage. I am no longer their fear. I am no longer their smallness. I am worthy of dignity. And I am worthy of living a good life. I welcome all success into my life. That's where we start. That's where we go. This way of thinking, this renewing of our mind actually creates a new pathway. You can do it. I am doing it. I'm not done it, but I'm working on it. Every morning I work on it. I work on it. I work on it. It's just, it's a lot when it's been, 40 years of thinking one way and being subjected to this external approach. And now I get to think of another way You can too. Let's do this together. This is a journey. This is a journey. And I'm here with you. I'm walking it with you. I know how you're feeling. And I just want you to know, if there's nothing else that you take from this conversation, is that I see you. I'm here for you.